The City of Los Angeles continues to work out its budget crisis. The Commission on Revenue Efficiency, or CORE, has issued its final report on steps the city can take to promote local businesses, improve accountability, and collect on money that is owed.
The only way that the City of Los Angeles will ultimately deal with ongoing debt is to review its processes, to implement efficiencies.
The Commission reported its findings in 8 reports, with 4 focusing on business and economic development and the other 4 on collection and efficiencies.
LA's residents and businesses deserve a city that works, and taxpayers deserve our money's worth. And to make this happen, there has to be a culture shift at City Hall. We have to make revenue, we have to make efficiency a priority.
The report identified several issues within the city and recommended ways on improving them, such as making city departments more entrepreneurial, better managing city-owned properties, clamping down on rogue parking operators, and promoting local businesses. The commissioners say that out of all the city contracts issued, less than 8% went to local businesses.
There needs to be more emphasis on eliminating the confusion that exists in the city charter and the local bid preference ordinance on issues that are dealing with things like what is considered competitive bidding, what is the difference between a City of LA business and a County of LA business.
The commissioners say the reports outline the potential for additional combined revenues and savings of $100 million annually. LA City workers say it's time the city makes a change.
We've took huge sacrifices to continue services for the LA residents. We want it's time for the city to do their part and act on the CORE's recommendation.
The Commission on Revenue Efficiency was specially created by the City Council in 2010 to bring outside finance, collections, and management advice to the city. For LA This Week, I'm Yana Kay.
The Commission reports are available to read and download at core.lacity.org. In addition to saving money, the city is also always looking for ways to boost the local economy. Anna Marcos tells us how Los Angeles is jumping into the global marketplace in an effort to create more jobs here at home.
Angelenos need more jobs, and city leaders have a global plan for bringing those jobs home. Send more stuff out that gets made here. Organizers have just released the Los Angeles Regional Export Plan to help local businesses expand and take their export products to the global market.
Increasingly, cities are the key hubs of innovation and growth in the global economy. More and more of the responsibility for spurring innovation and managing growth now falls on the shoulders of cities.
For Angelenos, what that means is more jobs and better jobs.
The plan is a joint effort by the Los Angeles Regional Export Council and the Brookings Institute. Among its key components, a manufacturing academy. Local colleges such as Valley College will help train workers for manufacturing jobs to feed the global export market. Another part of the plan is the Export Champion program. MBA students at USC and UCLA will consult with local businesses to help them write a marketing plan to reach the huge market of global consumers.
The focus is very simple. How do we get U.S. cities and metropolitan areas, the engines of the American economy, to trade more goods and services with abroad? 95% of the consumers live outside the United States. We've had an economy looking inward. We need to look outward. Los Angeles is really at the vanguard of this.
More knowledge, more training, and better coordination. It's one way to get a piece of the action in the growing demand for things made in the USA. I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
Other cities such as Portland and St. Paul are now following in LA's footsteps and coming up with their own export plans. A major airline carrier is updating and upgrading many of its customer features as part of LAX's modernization plan. Rasha Goel takes a look at the airport of the future.
Alaska Airlines unveils its Terminal 6 renovation at Los Angeles International Airport.
Bottom line of all of it is to make the airport experience easy for our customers.
The 13-month LAX construction project was a collaborative effort between Los Angeles World Airports, Alaska Airlines, and the Transportation Security Administration.
It was a $271 million estimate and it cost $238. So we're getting it on time. We're doing it under budget. We're creating jobs and, importantly, enhancing the passenger experience, both from a convenience standpoint and a safety standpoint.
Traditional ticket counters have been replaced with customer-friendly check-in kiosks and bag check stations. By moving Alaska Airlines from Terminal 3 to Terminal 6, customers now also have convenient access to U.S. Customs and Border Protection checkpoints.
They can get off their international flight and go right down into a federal inspection service without getting on a bus and having to be bused to Tibbet, to the Tom Bradley International Terminal.
One of the added features that travelers will perhaps most enjoy is the accessibility to outlets. Nearly 50% of the areas in the terminals have these outlets, allowing travelers to be connected to their iPods, their phones, or their laptops.
It's much nicer. I used to dread coming to LAX and now it's quite nice.
The seats are nice and comfortable. It's not very loud. It's kind of just quiet and relaxing.
Other additions include a new LEED certified airline lounge and state-of-the-art gate information displays.
For the first time in Terminal 6, we have all of the airline departures on the flight information displays and all of the airline arrivals. So it's not just one airline, it's every arrival and departure that happens in Terminal 6.
Alaska Airlines renovation is part of LA's $4.1 billion investment in modernizing LAX. Alaska airline officials hope these new features will help make LAX passengers' experience one of the best in the country. From Los Angeles International Airport, I'm Rasha Goel for LA This Week.
No funds from Los Angeles City's general fund were used for this renovation. And to get the word out on these new LAX improvements is a new campaign to let passengers know what's next. Anita Bennett explains.
As travelers arrive, customer service reps and volunteers are handing out luggage tags with a message about the changes taking off at Los Angeles International Airport.
That's a pretty cool badge. I like it. The fact that you guys are renovating the airport, I think is wonderful. Make it real nice.
The badges are part of a new campaign dubbed LA Next to let everyone know about the renovations at LAX.
We've spent most of our time actually designing and starting to build. Now we're starting to communicate what it is that we're actually building and changing.
Among those changes, a head-to-toe makeover at the Bradley International Terminal, plus new elevators and escalators across the airport, and some new places to eat. They're even putting up new posters to get the word out.
All right.
Passengers liked what they heard.
I think it will be great, actually, for the airport to get a facelift, kind of be on par with some of the other better-looking airports in the country.
The $4 billion improvements are well underway and will take about 10 years to complete. Officials admit passengers will face some inconveniences, like they'll have to walk a little bit further to get around all the construction, but they say in the long run it will all pay off in the form of a much nicer airport. At LAX, I'm Anita Bennett for LA This Week.
The construction project is also bringing big economic benefits to the city. Over time, it's expected to create 40,000 local jobs. High school students from across Los Angeles demonstrated their love of science as they went head-to-head at the annual LA Department of Water and Power Science Bowl. Rich Samuels has the story.
This is one day these students have been working toward for a long time, some for nearly a year. They represent 30 public, private parochial and charter schools that have sent teams to the LADWP's 20th annual Regional Science Bowl competition. They're different in many ways, but united in one thing, a passion for math, science, and technology.
Science is awesome.
The Science Bowl is a game show style competition. Each match features two teams competing to correctly answer college level science, math, and technology questions.
W is correct.
LADWP officials were on hand to cheer on the young scientists and perhaps give them a bit of advice for their future careers.
California.
So we're on the cutting edge. We need highly technical people like yourself to come and work for us. And when it comes time to get a job, come see us.
Over the course of this one day, 150 matches narrowed the field to just 2 finalists, North Hollywood High School and the Sherman Oaks Center for Enriched Studies. Though Sherman Oaks was off to a great start, North Hollywood won the final competition 146-18. At the end of April, they'll be heading to Washington, D.C. to compete against teams from 68 other regions for the national championship. I'm Rich Samuels for LA This Week.
The all-expense-paid trip to the nation's capital is made possible by the U.S. Department of Energy, which sponsors the National Science Bowl. A unique public space has opened in one corner of Silver Lake, and it's no ordinary park. Yana Kay tells us more about the city's first Streets for the People project.
These pedestrians and community members are enjoying the outdoors in this vibrant new public space. Located on Griffith Park Boulevard between Edgecliff Drive and Maltman Avenue in Silver Lake, the new space was created as a one-year pilot project where folks can sit and relax, visit local businesses, or engage with their neighbors.
This transformation that we see here today is part of the Streets for People program, which was launched to turn underused street into vibrant places that enhance our neighborhoods.
Although Sunset Triangle Plaza draws its inspiration from the successful pedestrian plazas in New York and San Francisco, the original concept of a pedestrian plaza in Silver Lake was developed by community members in 2006. The new space features planters, furniture, and umbrellas.
This is one small part of what we hope will be a citywide effort to create public spaces, because we know that public spaces not only create great cities but also healthy cities.
All street furniture will be brought inside each evening to maintain the plaza's quality and cleanliness.
I think one park is great. I think 40 more across the city is a game changer. We are starting to change the way LA looks and the way we use our city.
The pilot plaza will close Griffith Park Boulevard to car traffic for the duration of the project, which will be approximately 1 year. The twice-weekly farmers market will continue to operate uninterrupted, and parking spaces will be created along Sunset Boulevard. I'm Yana Kay for LA This Week.
Streets for People is spearheaded by the Los Angeles County Department of Public Health and the City of Los Angeles Planning Commission, along with partnerships with Departments of Transportation, Planning, and Public Works. An underserved community recently celebrated the opening of a redevelopment project that brings new business and hundreds of jobs to the area. Cindy San Luis reports.
A champagne christening kicked off the opening of Midtown Crossing, a project that began 15 years ago and is now finally complete, located at the intersection of Pico, San Vicente, and Venice Boulevards in Mid-City Los Angeles.
I will be honest with you. There were times when I thought this day would never come.
The 330,000 square foot urban retail center includes a newly opened Lowe's Home Improvement Center, Starbucks, Panda Express, Wells Fargo Bank, AT&T Wireless, Foot Locker, and a Metro bus transfer station, all bringing new jobs to the area.
850 people that maybe didn't have a job a few months ago have a job.
Midtown Crossing sits on 11.5 acres and was created under the Los Angeles Community Redevelopment Agency and constructed by CIM Group.
This is an amazing complex of transit, neighborhood shopping, regional shopping. It's reconnecting this community that had been broken apart for so long.
And providing a myriad of necessities to the 1.3 million residents who live within a 5-mile radius, while helping to create a bigger sense of community. I'm Cindy San Luis for LA This Week.
It was a day of recognition as downtown businesses expressed their gratitude to those who make downtown a safe place to work, live, and play. Rasha Goel reports.
The Central City Boosters recently saluted the Los Angeles Police Department and Business Improvement District safety officers in the Central area for their excellent work.
We're able to recognize those folks that on a daily basis go out and do more than and that they really truly need to help support and make sure that our community is safe.
Among those being recognized were also local citizens.
Quite often we forget those civilians, those individuals out there who are working within the community, giving of themselves.
For LAPD Sergeant Jose Covarrubias, who received the Supervisor of the Year award, it was all about his team.
I really like to thank all the officers that work for me. They've done an exceptional job and pretty much made me look good. So
this is a way for the business community to give back, to recognize those that are supporting our community, and this is our way to give back to them.
In Los Angeles, I'm Rasha Goel for LA This Week.
A former school police officer pays the city back after orchestrating a bizarre hoax, educating the public on diabetes and remembering Casablanca. These stories and more in City Beat. A former Los Angeles school police officer who staged his own shooting outside of El Camino Real High School in 2011 in Woodland Hills has agreed to reimburse the city $309,000 for expenses related to the hoax. At the time, school police officer Jeff Stenruse said a gunman seen in this police sketch shot him outside the school. His lie caused the school to be on lockdown for several hours. Councilman Dennis Zine had authored the resolution last year pushing for Stenruse to repay the city. The LA Convention Center was the site of the recent American Diabetes Association Expo. Experts were on hand to talk about diabetes-related issues such as how to prevent kidney disease.
Drink lots of water, exercise, watch your medication intake, painkillers, salt, sugar, watch all of that.
My dad actually passed away from complications of diabetes, had a heart attack, and that comes with the disease, I guess, if you don't take care of yourself.
And part of taking care of yourself is exercising. And at the Diabetes Expo, a cardio aerobics class had kids and adults alike hitting the dance floor. The event also offered head-to-toe screenings, healthy cooking demonstrations, and even a rock climbing wall. Councilmember Tom LaBonge recently marked the 70th anniversary of the iconic film Casablanca by holding a ceremony at the Humphrey Bogart Star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
This was a great movie in my life. I remember my dead girlfriend and now my present wife, Bridget, how we've often reminisced about life through Casablanca.
Warner Brothers has just released a 70th anniversary Blu-ray DVD edition of Casablanca to commemorate the Academy Award-winning movie. And students from several schools in the San Fernando Valley paid a visit to City Council chambers recently to observe how city government operates. The students are all part of a program called Democracy by Design, coordinated by Councilmember Dennis Zine's office. In this week's list of things to do, learning the art and craft of puppet theater, performance art downtown at the Red Cat, and Jewish homegrown history. It's a unique opportunity for your child to express his or her creativity. Maria Bodman is recruiting students for a workshop on Saturday, March 31st from 2:30 to 4:30 p.m. to design and make shadow characters and write dialogue and choreograph a shadow play for a live performance on April 7th. The workshop takes place at the Sunland Recreation Center at 8651 Foothill Boulevard in Sunland. The workshop, including materials, is free to all participants through the City of Los Angeles Department of Cultural Affairs, the Sunland Rec Center, and Bali and Beyond. More info can be found at balibeyond.com. And on Saturday, March 31st and Sunday, April 1st at 8:30 p.m. both nights at the Red Cat Theater downtown, experimental Los Angeles performing artists offer adventurous new works and works in progress in the ongoing series called Studio Spring 2012. There is dance, acrobatics, electroacoustic opera, and much more. Housed in the Walt Disney Concert Hall complex, Red Cat has its own street entrance at 631 West 2nd Street. For ticket information, go to redcat.org/theater. And the everyday lives of ordinary Jewish families are part of an exhibit at the Skirball Cultural Center called Jewish Homegrown History. The exhibit, going on now through September, includes home movies projected on 3 giant screens. The vibrant films document the Jewish immigration history and raises issues of identity, such as how Jews forged with other ethnic communities within California. The Skirball Cultural Center is located at 2701 North Sepulveda Boulevard. Go to skirball.org for more info. And remember, you can find this information on our Facebook page. And that's a look at some upcoming things to do. And it's a restoration project that aims to protect murals from being destroyed or falling into dilapidation. Councilmember Jose Huizar recently helped unveil the first of several mural restorations in Estrada Courts on Olympic Boulevard in Boyle Heights. The mural, called Organic Stimulus by muralist Ernesto de la Loza, is part of an effort to restore 13 culturally and historically significant murals, collectively called Nature Walk.
As a young boy, I remember running around and I would look up at these murals and ask what these figures of Aztecs were, ask who this guy Pancho Villa was. And, you know, later on I learned in life that I was getting an education because those aren't things I was learning in the classroom. It wasn't until college that I learned about my history and my culture and in an academic sort of way. So I give thanks to those murals for educating me to ask questions about my history and my culture.
In its heyday in the 70s and 80s, Estrada Courts boasted over 80 murals, but now that number is down to 54. That's going to do it for this edition. Thanks for joining us. I'm Ellen Chang. A reminder that you could catch us online at lacityview.org. You can also follow us on Facebook. We'll see you back here next week for more of LA This Week.
Hi, I'm Craig Irwin in Los Angeles.
Hi, I'm Trenton Irwin, and you're watching LA City View, Channel 35, our city, our channel.
Good morning, everyone. Today is Wednesday, April 4th. I want to welcome you to today's meeting. The Los Angeles City Council meets 3 times a week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m. We do have a quorum, so Mr. Clerk, why don't you please call a roll?
Alarcon, Buscaino, Cardenas, Englander, Garcetti, Weezer, Corretz, Krikorian, Labange, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Rosendahl, Zion, Wesson, 10 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you. First order of business.
Approval of the minutes.
Mr. Garcetti moves, Mr. Weezer seconds. Next.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
Mr. Rosendahl moves, Mr. Labange second. Next, what do we have?
Mr. President, before getting into the agenda, there is a request from member to continue item 4 to May 1st. That would be item 4 to May 1st.
Okay, without objection. So let's begin to run through the agenda.
Very good, sir. Item 1 is an item notice for public hearing. It's a PCN in Council District 14, and a motion is required.
Mr. Weezer.
Request that we continue that item for 4 weeks, please.
Okay, could you, Mr. Clerk, find out what date that is, and we will do that without objection.
Very good, sir.
So that brings us to items, 2 through 6?
4 weeks is May 2nd, sir, May
Okay.
2nd. That brings us to items 2 through 6.
Okay. Mr. Corretz.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to call item number 3 special for Mr. Krikorian.
Without objection. Mr. Corretz, Mr. Paul, you do recognize that Krikorian's excused, so you're just going to take care of...
Yeah, I'll take care of it.
Okay. All right, then. Other specials, members? And we've already had, so we don't... So why not on these, let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Okay, let's move to the next section. I think that's items 7 through 25.
Correct, sir. Items 7 through 25 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration.
Okay, without objection, those items are now before us.
Mr. President, pardon me. There is a technical correction for item 20 that should be noted. The correct account number is 000715. That's for item 20, sir.
Okay, that's duly noted. Do we have cards on these items?
Sir, we do. We have cards on items 9, 16, 19, and 20.
Members, special, Mr. Cardenas.
Yes, on item number 8, I just want to make sure that when we take action on that item, it is in fact to move to adopt. I move that we adopt the CAO report, which is on file.
Okay. Thank you. Any other specials, members? Okay, so let's vote on the balance. Let us open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Next order of business.
Mr. President, that brings us to items 26 and 27. They are scheduled for closed session.
Okay, now it's my understanding that the chair was comfortable with us voting on these items, but I will request of the vice chair to let me know if that is the direction that they wish to go on budget and finance. Mr. Englander, it's my understanding that items 26 and 27, that Mr. Krikorian and you agreed that they were okay to be taken up in open session, and I'm just verifying that with you. Okay, so he says yes.
Very good, sir. For item 26, In the case entitled Sheeran Buckman versus City of Los Angeles, there is a recommendation to expend a total of $450,000 in settlement of the above entitled matter.
Okay, on that item, let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Next item.
That brings us to item 27. In the case entitled Majestic Towers Incorporated and 3515 Wilshire LLC and the City of Los Angeles versus Majestic Towers Incorporated, there is a recommendation to approve a bankruptcy settlement of $2.65 million from the jointly administered bankruptcy estates of Majestic Towers Incorporated and 3515 Wilshire LLC. The proposed settlement would also include resolution of the Los Angeles Superior Court action in which judgment was entered for the city against Majestic and is currently being appealed by Majestic.
Okay.
Again, in conclusion, that is the city receiving a settlement of $2.65 million.
Okay, so on that item, let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Okay, Mr. Clerk, where does that bring us on the agenda?
Mr. President, that brings us back to items called special or public comment on for matters not on council's agenda today.
Okay, it's my understanding we have a presentation. We do not. Okay. Mr. Labange?
Just a quick introduction from our great friends in Singapore. Our Department of Disability has reached out, and members of the Singapore Disability Commission, Angela Ong and Alice Chin. Let's give them a Los Angeles welcome. Our great friends from Singapore, please rise and to be welcomed by the City Council. Good job, good job. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Labange? Okay, we'll begin our public comment portion. In fact, before we go to public comment, I'd like to recognize Councilmember Rosendahl.
Come on over here.
And then Ms. Perry will be after Mr. Rosendahl.
Dodie. Okay. Yes, good morning, Mr. President, and good morning, colleagues here on the City Council. There's a gentleman standing next to me that I've had the privilege and pleasure of knowing for many, many years. In fact, probably longer than some of you have lived who are now members of this council. The 2012 Faculty Lifetime Achievement Award from the University of Southern California is going to Murray Frompson, who's standing right here. Let's give him a round of applause for that. And let me give you a little background on Murray. Eric is smiling. He knows who he is. Colleagues, he's a very special man and a terrific human being who's contributed an awful lot to making the world a better place. His career has been in journalism, and it spans more than 30 years, more like 40 years, folks. Murray was an associate with Associated Press and CBS News correspondent and producer who covered both the Korean and Vietnam Wars, the former Soviet Union, and 2 U.S. presidential campaigns. In fact, he was in Chicago there with the Chicago 7 in that campaign, and I happened to be in Chicago, too. Murray and his CBS colleagues were awarded 2 Overseas Press Club awards for their reporting on the fall of Saigon in 1975. Murray also covered major stories such as the armistice talk in Korea, the end of U.S. occupation in Japan, the Korematsu crisis in the Taiwan Straits, the 1965 war between India and Pakistan, the Tet Offensive in Saigon, the defeat of the U.S.-backed government in Cambodia by the Khmer Rouge, 3 summit meetings between Richard Nixon and Leonid Brzezinski. That might have been very interesting, I would imagine, with Richard Nixon. The anti-war movement in the United States, the Conspiracy 7 trial in Chicago, and the Apollo program that put the first man on the moon. Some other highlights include his remarkable career, including moderator of a statewide television program on PBS station called California Week in Review. Don't we know that? Murray joined the USC faculty in 1982 and was founder and director of the Center for International Journalism for 7 years that recruited 115 working journalists to earn master's degrees specializing in reporting on Mexico and Cuba. He was appointed director of the School of Journalism from 1994 to 1999, and we've served on the Pacific Council together, which is an incredible group, and we've been dealing with Mideast issues and other issues. He was appointed director of the School of Journalism from 1994 to 99, and today we're honoring him because he is receiving the 2012 Faculty Lifetime Achievement Award from the University of Southern California. Congratulations, Murray. Here's your cert for being a great guy. Standing next to him is his lovely wife and his lovely daughter.
Very good, Mr. Rosendahl. Before we hear from Murray, let's hear from Eric Garcetti.
I'll be very, very brief. It is such a joy. What a nice surprise. I had no idea you were doing this, and thank you, Mr. Rosendahl. These are a family full of the finest that Los Angeles represents, and dear friends of my family as well, and just want to thank you for who you are. I think you neglected one fact, which is that you went to Belmont High School, if I remember correctly, too, which is great. Belmont High School, which is the
rival of John Marshall, but I'll still vote for you, Murray. I'll still vote for you.
And who you are and the voice that you continue to have in this city, in this state, in this world is so critical. And thank you for bringing the stories in a time when journalism seems to be changing in such a different way. It's about shouting and not thinking. You continue to be such a thoughtful person, such a great citizen, and an example for your students and everybody around. And I love the entire family, and thank you guys so much for who you are and what you've done. And congratulations, Mr. Rosendahl, for honoring somebody. We bring a lot of people in here, but I got to put you at the very top of the list of somebody who deserves this city's honors. And thanks for who you are and what you've done. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. And Murray, congratulations. As Mr. Garcetti said, your work has been like pillars that hold up this great city hall. And the journalism world has been rocked over the years. We'll miss people like you. You really are a solid human being, and we thank you, even though you are a Sentinel from Belmont. But you got the mic now.
Well, I'd like to take the moment to introduce my wife, Dodie Fromson, who has been here, and I'll tell you more about her, and my darling daughter, Aliza Bental from Israel.
And our son who couldn't.
And it's just a pleasure having them here. My son would have been here, but he had other work to do, unfortunately. I'm just overwhelmed by some of the things that have been said here today because it made me feel really rather humble. But I just did want to say a thing or two. But you know, this is the time to try men's souls. For politicians, elected officials, people who come to the public venue to represent the best interests of the American people and the American voter. And there's been an awful lot of bad things said in the press and the public and wherever denouncing what elected officials do. And I just want to tell you that my hat's off to all of you and the people I've covered as a journalist for many years, but observing what goes on not only here in the City Council, but in the Board of Supervisors, but in the state capitol where I was running a program called California Week in Review. But then to think back the Congress as well. So just a few short things just to say to you. I'm grateful to all of you. I respect all of you. I thank you. I'm flattered by the honors you've bestowed on me, and good luck to all of you.
Thank you, Murray.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rosendahl. Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure.
They're going to have your call back, and they're going to go back to the press room. Now I'd like to call on Councilwoman Jan Perry. Mr. Zine is present. Thank you very much, Mr. Zine, and we welcome Ms. Perry to the podium. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. And I would like to invite all of the participants in the Target Project to join me here. This is teens and retailers getting educated on tobacco. Oh, there's Mr. Carter. Okay. Come on up here. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's wonderful. We've got a lot of young people here today, representatives from the Los Angeles Unified School District, students from the Discovery Charter, Oscar de la Hoya, Frederick Douglass Academy, College Ready number 5, College Ready number 4, Grant High School, Marshall High School, Animo Ralph Bunch, and Crenshaw High School. I'm very happy to welcome representatives from the City Attorney's Tobacco Enforcement Program, along with administrators and members of the Teens and Retailers Getting Educated on Tobacco, or otherwise known as Target. And I would like to thank them for coming to City Hall today. I've seen their presentation and it's excellent. The Target Project is a civic and community-based learning initiative that focuses on educating and engaging high school students to increase awareness of the dangers of tobacco smoke and preventing minors from joining the ranks of smokers. The Target Project has been implemented at some select LAUSD schools and includes a curriculum of 1 hour after-school activities and trainings in media literacy, policy research, and civic engagement. Students are encouraged to educate their local representatives by documenting the marketing techniques of retail advertisers and further presenting retailers with informational packets on the illegal sale of tobacco products to minors and a list of responsible retail practices. Through these activities, young people are better able to take on leadership roles in their respective communities by informing the areas in which they live of the serious public health risks associated with tobacco and tobacco-related products. This program was developed in partnership with the City Attorney's Office Tobacco Enforcement Program, which has prioritized their efforts to combat illegal tobacco sales to minors. Together, they've created an environment where preventing young people from becoming smokers has become a top priority. And I'm very pleased that all the young people who've come here today, and I have seen their very vibrant presentation, and I hope that their visit today furthers their education and public advocacy skills, because their voice and their actions can have a great impact on public health policy here in Los Angeles. And now I would like to invite Bill Carter, Chief Deputy City Attorney, to say a few words.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I don't have much to say other than to again thank Councilwoman Jan Perry for her terrific support and kind words for this program. Without the support of Councilwoman Perry and others like her, this program could not be successful. I also want to thank the kids, the students who participate in this. It's a very important project. I don't know how to explain this, how important it is. I lost my father last year to lung cancer. He was a lifelong smoker, and I hope, and I just hope other people don't have to watch their loved ones pass away like that. And I hope you children learn that, how important it is to have this anti-smoking message. And the support of folks in our office, the anti-tobacco unit, and all the great work they do. And again, thank you, Councilwoman Perry, for your great support.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Carter.
I'd like to invite Mr. Baca, Mr. Albert Baca.
Yes.
You can tell them where you're from.
Oh, yes. My name is Albert Vaca. I'm a teacher at Roosevelt High School at the Small Learning Community ESP. I just want to thank you all. Thank you, Council Member, for the rich experience of this program. Thank you to Director Manzanilla and all her staff, Ms. Prado, Mr. Kim. and all those who helped. Mr. Peter Parker was very popular with the kids. It was a rich experience for many reasons. Primarily, I just want to say that for myself, so you can get the teacher perspective, it was a template for many projects to come this year. I want to apply it towards a waste audit at our school. Just basically, the entire design of the curriculum takes us from gathering research, analyzing it, discussing it, and basically all the way to presenting it to the entire student body at our school. And this was a rich experience because it is exactly what our school is trying to produce: more opportunities for students to have an effect on public policy, having the personnel and the resources available to us. And the model of this template is a very important seed that has been planted in our small learning community. So I appreciate this excellent experience. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. Well, hold on, Ms. Perry. Mr. Alacon, want to say a few words?
Yeah, I want to rise to thank Jan for recognizing this group. We work very closely with the City Attorney's anti-tobacco unit. Nora Manzanilla is a recognized leader in the field now of tobacco prevention and avoidance projects, and so I want to stand to recognize the City Attorney's Office for having this specialized unit that, with all the issues that we have in our community, gang violence and drugs, sometimes tobacco is pushed aside as a non-issue, but in fact it is killing more people than any of the other problems I've mentioned combined. And so it is critical that we get these young people off on the right track. I want to particularly give a shout out to Discovery Prep Charter School in my district. We've been working with them as well. But the fact is that we cannot stop people from making a decision to use tobacco. Only the individuals can, but we can provide them with the awareness of what happens when they do make that choice. I also want to mention that I am working with the City Attorney's Office, and I also have to mention Dr. Fielding from the county, the County Health Director, who has worked with us on so many issues, but this is one that he has championed. The county received the funding and gave a grant to this program to enable us to do this with ARA money. I want to continue to do. In fact, we are working with the City Attorney's Office, the Cal State Northridge, anti-smoking advocates in the community to develop a small program in my district to furtherance of this concept. And so, I want to thank Councilmember Perry for bringing this to our attention. This is important. We should never ignore the realities of the negative impact that tobacco has on our communities. Thank you.
Mr. Alacon, thank you, and Ms. Perry, thank you, and Mr. Carter, the representative, Mr. Carmen Tatanich, thank you, and who's from John Marshall High? Good job. Go Barristers. All right. Thank you, everybody. So we're going to open it up for public comment after the podium area is cleared at this time. And I will call first from Van Nuys, Rick Nightingale. Rick Nightingale.
Yeah, Rick Nightingale. I'll tell you, the gentleman in Florida that got killed is very tragic, but it's really stirring up a hornet's nest. I'll tell you, if these people keep it up like Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, and the person I cannot stand, and I mean, as far as I'm concerned, you talk about a bigot and that stuff, is Roberta Walters, man. I'll tell you, if it's a hate crime, I hate her. I just hate her the way she talks. If you're not black, you turn around and are scum. That's just the way I take it, the way she talks. But we had a problem here twice. Once from the Watts riot. You saw what happened there. And then we had another riot, I think it was in '92. And what happened there? They burned Watts and everything else down. These people back there get to carry guns, where we couldn't. They just said, stay home. You don't know what's going to happen. But if these people keep it up and this gentleman just say, we don't know where all the evidence is found not guilty, can you imagine what's going to happen back there? Through all these people, even Congress is getting into it, where they have no business saying anything. That you're going to have a lot of dead people. You are going to have a lot of dead people. You think it's bad now. That you can't let the law go along and find out really what's happening. And I can imagine what's going to happen here in the city of Los Angeles. Because I hate to say it, but the blacks don't like it, they riot and so forth. Least Hispanic people, they picket and they do it in an orderly manner. But it's proven right here in Los Angeles. When they get pissed at something really bad, they riot, they burn, and then they pillage and they steal and so forth. It's going to be a bad situation. Thank you.
All right, now Dr. Williams, followed by Dr. Sachs and Dr. Armin Najarian.
Dr. Tom Williams, LA 32 Neighborhood Council, also participant in yesterday's Board of Fire Commissioners meeting. They don't know what they're doing. They don't have a written policy for how they talk about response times and how they prepare their incident reports. There's no policy because during March, there were at least 3 incident reports that gave the exact address of the building that was on fire, the burns and hospitalization of the person that was affected by the fire, all without giving the response time, but they gave the control time. There doesn't seem to be a specific policy by the LA Fire Department nor the Board of Fire Commissioners, who are designated for policy approval, as to what information they can give out to whom. Because in March, they gave out the exact address, the condition of the injuries, and the hospital that the person was transported to, all within public documents. So for fire incidents, it seems to be a different policy than for medical emergencies. So can't they get their acts together? I would suggest that you look at Incident Report 1057. It was in March. So you need to develop some sort of policy either by City Council or require that the Board of Fire Commissioners, who, based on yesterday, didn't even know what the Brown Act was, participate in a meaningful manner with City Council. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sachs.
Yes, thank you. Good morning. Arnold Sachs. I don't know if anybody happened to read the Daily News or the Daily Breeze from South Bay. Interesting story regarding the sale of the LA Dodgers and why Frank McCourt still owns 50% of the parking lots. It seems that satisfies a loophole in Prop 13, because if the new buyers had 51%, then the parking lots would be reassessed. That reassessment could cost the new owners upwards of $2 to $3 million a year. But with Frank McCourt holding on to 50% of the parking lots, there's no reassessment on the parking lots, so the tax bill stays the same, which means the city is going to lose money, the city and the county. But that's congratulations to the new buyers. Thank you, Magic. That being said, let's also talk again like yesterday. And I certainly appreciate it 2 weeks ago when Councilman Parks got up and corrected me about $5,000 for some buses for his district. So I'm wondering if he could get up and correct me about the $7 million difference between the DWP transfer from last fiscal year and this fiscal year, because that's what the City Council approved. $257 million last year, $250 million this year. That's $7 million difference. Good thing the city's making money. And again, the AB 1290 funds. 2 years ago, the CAO was going to take $10 million. And Councilman Wesson argued, said that you can't do that. That's not fair, because only the poor districts have CRA development. Now, Wendy Grill does an audit, $27 million. How did it grow? and poor Mr. Reyes can't get his sidewalks repaired.
Thank you very much. That's Mr. Armin Nagajarian. Armanak Norajadian, please forgive me, I'm Tom Labangi.
It's okay. It's okay. It's fine, Council Member. Good morning, respectable council, city council members. Good morning, fellow Angelinos. My name is Armin Aknozhan. I'm a liberal Democrat and human rights advocate, and I run for the seat of California State Assembly from South Central Los Angeles, or so-called 59th electoral district. I promise to raise taxes against wealthy individuals 50%. And also raise taxes 50% against oil producers and gasoline selling corporations that rip off motorists every day. You know, and also this 50% increase in taxes will definitely trump nowadays only 3% increase in taxes was also been proposed by California Governor Edmund Brown, you know, and also his ludicrous quarter cent tax, you know, on sales tax increase. But it definitely is just, you know, all around the cause of raising taxes. I also propose to create California satellite cellular phone service for rural and forested area territorial waters of California shores. I will create state legislation to control car jams with live satellite surveillance in order to disperse car jams on California freeways. I believe we're mostly in state capitalism, not free capitalism. I believe the state capital will work for California for decades, you know, creating new jobs. And I believe redistributing wealth from the wealthy corporations and gasoline selling, selling also corporations like Texaco, British Petroleum Arco, you know, will help us, all California society, you know, Angelinos as well, to have lots of new jobs, you know. And actually, I also propose to make same-sex marriage law of the land, and propose to grant 6-month free pregnancy leave to all California women. And in terms of, as 56% of California voters rejected Proposition 19, legalization of harmful marijuana, I propose a comprehensive ban on all medical marijuana dispensaries as they rip off substance abusers every day, you know. And actually, it's very important for the city of Los Angeles to cancel City Ordinance 181-530 that violates United States Controlled Substances Act and enabled great rip-offs of those substance abuse.
Thank you very much, members. That completes our public comment. No other cards. So we note and file that. Mr. Clerk, let's start with the second item, number 9. Number 8, is it? 8 or 9?
That would be number 9, sir.
Let's hear number 9. Let's put number 9 before us, please.
Mr. President, that was called special for cards.
Arnold Sachs.
Yes, thank you again, Arnold Sachs. I held this just, again, thank you. Knowing I'll get clarification from the council on how the choice is made for the people that are eligible for the low-income housing, how they're picked. Because I also remember somewhat reading a story about how somebody who was on the board of LAHD, how her 2 sons got low-income housing, was in housing in the city of LA. Thank you for correcting me. It's a housing agency. And things that happen in the county, Councilman Alarcon, would never, ever, 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 ever happen in the city, because they're more corrupt in the county. That much I know too. But nevertheless, there might be an inkling, and I appreciate you correcting that. So it was the county HACLA, not the city housing authority. But again, how do they choose the people?
Thank you very much. Mr. Sachs, stay where you are right there. No speakers on the queue.
Oh, Mr. Cardis.
Mr. Cardis, I got your name right here. Go ahead. Relax, Mr. Sachs.
Yes, I just want to make sure that we're moving to adopt the CAO report, and the CAO report is on file. Thank you.
Okay, so it's moved to adopt the CAO report. Mr. Clerk?
Yes, sir.
Let's open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
12 ayes. Now, item number 16 right now. I want to call up 16. Mr. Sachs, we have a card from you.
Yes, thank you. Arnold Sachs, item number 16. And I know this will be illegal, but I'm still going to do it. We'll reference items 17 and 18. Both of those two items, they're getting over $350,000, 17 and 18, for a community design plan for streetscape improvements to 7th Street and Vermont Avenue. So taking that into account, somewhere around $125,000 would have been spent for a plan for this streetscaping improvement. You're talking over $375,000 just for the planning for streetscape improvement. How are you budgeting these funds? Doesn't somebody say, that's a lot of money to spend on planning for streetscape improvement? That's 16% of this funding that you're getting for this improvement. And yet, we hear again, Councilman Reyes can't get the sidewalks improved in his district in Chinatown because there's no redevelopment agency funding. So I take it Mr. Rosendahl has redevelopment agency funding in his district. Where is redevelopment funding for that? And again, I go back to AB 1290 funding. $10 million divided among the council members who have redevelopment agencies, which is not all 16, and now they have $27 million. Who's doing the math? I know that budget discussions are coming up shortly. So the same people who can't do this math and give an answer to the public regarding simple questions will now be entrusted to make the decisions on the cuts and the budgets for the hard questions that get the city through this difficult time. It's enlightening.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Rosendahl, you have a comment there, Mr. Rosendahl?
Yes, I would like to, since I didn't call it special, but the public did, I want to tell you this is an amazing new moment. What is happening, Mr. President, is, as you know, when you come out of the airport and you go down Sepulveda, it is a terrible scene. And Maxine Waters got $1 million, as I know Ms. Cardenas is going to support his city when he's back in Washington. She came up with $1 million. And we also got a development project to come up with $1.85 million. And with that $3 million, we're going to make that entranceway look like it should look for all the people of Los Angeles. And so what this does is trigger the mechanism of getting that House of Representatives federal money. So it's a great moment.
Very good, and all the way around. A lot of engineering necessary to prepare right. Good job. No other speakers on the queue? Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Hey, well, the next one is item 18? 19.
Item 19, sir. Item 19 called special for cards.
Yeah, Arnold, here you go again, Arnold. Keep your head up, Arnold. That's it. Good. I know.
1 minute on this one, very quickly. This is a motion regarding the budget hearings. So in today's agenda, you have an item regarding a budget, and you're transferring funding from different departments to the Human Resources Agency. You're transferring a total of almost $1.6 million. But nowhere in this item that's open to the public does it say how many personnel are involved in this. So when you're discussing the items regarding the budget, and remember, I know you had the difficult times with the ERIP and the early retirements and all that stuff, but you never really said that you could have saved $30 million by not capping ERIP, by including all the layoffs, because that was a one-time thing. The layoffs in 1 year cost the city $30 million, and they cost the city another $30 million last year, and they're going to cost the city another $30 million this year, and next year they're going to cost another $30 million. So please keep that in mind.
Thank you very much. There's no speakers on the queue. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
12 ayes. Now we have one more item with a public comment card. Mr. Sachs, come on and back up.
Item 20, sir. Item 20 called special for cards.
Read it into the record, Mr. Clerk.
Yes, sir. That would be item 20 called special for cards.
Mr. Sachs.
Item 20 was, I believe, like $2,000 transfer in Councilman Vizcaino's district. So I was wondering, if that's the follow-up, because I remember when Councilwoman Janice Hahn was in here and she was talking about a gift shop in City Council or City Hall. So I was wondering maybe that $2,000 would be for bobbleheads of the city councilmen to put in the up-and-coming gift shop that you're going to open up and gift in City Hall.
Arnold, come on now. Arnold,
Perfect.
I'm going to include you in it too if you join.
Hey,
too.
that's fine.
Thank you very much, Arnold. And let's have nice words
Mine
from
will
Ms.
be a
Hahn.
bobblehead. This will be wobbleheads.
Thank you very much. Mr. Armanak Nargajanian. Thank you.
Respectable City Council members, dear fellow Angelinos, actually I endorse Resolution 20, with motion presented by Council members Buscaino and Rosendahl, and actually a motion relative to funding in support of various community activities in the Council District 15. Actually, we fully support, that kind of funding of various community activities because communities sometimes, poor and need that funding in order to have number of community activities going on. For instance, like presentation or ball or concerts, or some concerts, or maybe some game playing or role playing, or maybe some lectures or something like that. The community needs some cultural events. In ours, community needs all cultural events. At the expense of the city of Los Angeles, for instance. And the city of Los Angeles show them, some kind of entertainment or amusement, for those community activities. Because I've seen like members of communities wandering around aimlessly and engaging in gang activities. And we should, fight that, gang activities by offering our own community activities. For this community center, some programs for cultural programs, cultural enrichment programs. And City of Los Angeles owes its residents the courtesy of funding those programs, cultural programs. I believe because City of Los Angeles is responsible for that cultural leisure time, pace time of Los Angelinos in order to amuse local residents at least somehow. And I think that the funding $2,500, it's not enough because it's just small sum of money, And I need some kind of funding. It should be done on a whole citywide level, and not only in District 15, but District 15 as well. It's just the harbinger of those.
Thank you very much. There's no speakers on the queue. Mr. Zine.
For Mr. Reyes, 17 and 18, forthwith.
Mr. Reyes, 17, very good. Thank you very much. But on this issue right before us, Mr. Clerk, let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Thank you. And I do want to recognize the great Trojan from USC, as well as the great Brahma from Pierce College. 2 students in here. Dr. Sachs, would you let him stand up and be recognized by the City Council? Students from Pierce College and USC, University of Southern California. Welcome. Thank you very much. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. President, that brings us to item number 3. There is a substitute motion, Krikorian-Koretz, 3A, that has been distributed and is before council for its consideration.
Thank you. We have public comment I want to take right now. Is that all right, Mr. Clerk?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Rick Nightingale and Van Nuys.
Yes, I'd like to know why I was skipped over for number 9, 16, 15, and so forth. I'd like to give you, you're not supposed to tell me, but I'd like to have why it was skipped over. I've been over on the phone, and they couldn't give me any information. Do we have a problem down there?
Rick, let me just give you a thing. Please speak your mind. We'll give you an extra minute, but after we get through this item here.
Well, I'd like to...
Well, wait a second. The clerk did mention there was some technical problem with ITA. Let's talk on this issue, and we're going to get it straightened out. Thank you.
Well, I'd just like to know... that the President of the Animal Welfare... I'd just like to know why, the money-wise, that we're not supporting more about the animals and the welfare of the situation.
Hey, Rick, this is about consolidation of personnel matters. I don't think we're animals here at City Hall.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
It's the committee, though.
All right. Just generally speaking on the committees, I don't know what's going on with some of the committees, but a lot of it we're just not getting the right information on what's going on. Maybe they're just too far educated to turn around and go with what the layman people kind of want to hear. I mean, because it just...
Yeah, hey, Rick, I got to educate you on something. This is about personnel matters, HR matters within the city's administration, and the personnel department's going to make a report. How about this?
Sorry,
Collect your thoughts for a second.
All right.
I'm going to call on Mr. Armak Nardangian right now, but I'll come back to you in Van Nuys in a minute. Thank you.
Good morning, respected City Council members, dear fellow Angelinos. Actually, I endorsed proper Resolution 3 because this Resolution 3 helps fight wasteful spending. It helps consolidate resources of human resources departments, and helps reduce number of bureaucrats, and make actually human resources operate more efficiently and effectively. And also, was amounts of money, that being given in that different human resources throughout the city of Los Angeles is not that much. I mean, it's kind of insignificant amount of money because in comparison to what it's supposed to have to conduct those animal services, it requires much greater sums of money in order for, let's say, animal services to operate. Recently, I've been to Los Angeles Zoo and seen half of the animal either dying or missing from their cages, about 10 years ago, when actually Los Angeles had much more animals, in Los Angeles Zoo, and they actually had more lively, looks about them. And I believe that that's why I do recommend City of Los Angeles to raise taxes against gasoline selling manufacturers and wealthy homeowners. Raise taxes at 50% in order to increase city revenues. In order for redistribute that wealth taken from wealthy people and give it to Angelinos, to city services, to Los Angeles Zoo, and make sure that Los Angeles Zoo could actually purchase more animals and keep them in better shape, and keep zookeepers in a better shape, and increase their salaries as well. We need to conduct progressive policy or raising tax against wealthy corporations, wealthy individuals, wealthy homeowners. And unless we see government doesn't follow that code, of social justice, we're going to have ruined city government.
Thank you very much. Back to Van Nuys. Rick Nightingale.
Yes, thank you.
We're going to give you 1 minute on this item here because I already gave you a minute and a half on the other.
All right. For the animal services, I'm an animal lover, but they keep wanting to take more money and more money from the shelters. Then they close the shelters and so forth. It's wrong. I realize the city is turning around, is cutting everywhere, but with that, regarding public works, all I know is in my neighborhood, I don't see nothing being done. You got sidewalks that are so high in some places. I drive along. I mean, they have to be, some of them are a foot high. You talk about being dangerous and tripping and falling, but then you turn around and want the people that own the property to pay for it. And if you turn around and pay half, then we'll get it fixed for you. What kind of a deal is that? So I don't know. Like I said, there's no money. You people are hurting for it, but something has to be done. I just don't know. Thank you.
Thank you very much on that. Good. And also, we're going to reconsider the items because Julie found the cards, our fine city clerk. Mr. Clerk, what do we got now?
Mr. President, we should first vote on item 3A as...
Before we do, we want to call on Mr. Koretz on this issue that's before us, item number 3, and I know we have a department staff for personnel, the fine staff of personnel here. If you want to come forward, you may be called to the center table. Mr. Koretz.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The reason we're submitting this amending motion on the human resource consolidation is because it's so late in the fiscal year that the general manager of the personnel department believes it would be more effective to begin the implementation on July 1st. Doing so will allow the Personnel Department to put into place shared services agreements with the affected departments and get off the ground with the appropriate timing. So therefore, the substitute motion would provide that the implementation phase would be, first phase would begin July 1st, and phase 2 would begin January of 2013.
Very good report. There's no speakers on the queue. So let's open the roll, Mr. Clerk. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
12 ayes.
Mr. President, at this point in time, would you like to reconsider items 9 and 16?
9 and 16. Yes, thank you. 9 and 16, and I want to call on Rick.
Mr. President, I'm sorry. We should first vote on reconsideration.
Let's vote on reconsideration. Let's open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
12 ayes. Okay.
Mr. President, you have now you have item 9 before you, called special for cards.
Yeah, Mr. Nightingale in Van Nuys City Hall.
Thank you. I'd just like to say regarding this is that, as I've said before, that I got caught into this situation with the housing department and so forth, that they just have to do some more homework a little bit and take consideration and look at the evidence when people bring it to them. That when you come in with that you are having a problem with a tenant that has complained and you have some violations, that you are completely afraid to go into the unit, that you tell them this, that they are being evicted, and you give them a lawyer's card and so forth, and they pay no attention to you. That they need to turn around and take everything into consideration, what is going on. I realize every person that comes through that door has a different situation. But they have to listen to the people and not use their authority and say, too bad, this is the way we do business, get out, or we're just going to keep on charging you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. No speakers on the queue. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
12 ayes. Next item.
Item 16, called special for cards.
All right, Mr. Nightingale, this is the other card. Let's call on Mr. Nightingale.
Thank you. I don't need a comment right now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nightingale. Have a good day. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Very good. That what's before us, Mr. Clerk?
Mr. President, if I may, as you know, we are in recess this Friday for Good Friday. As such, does Council wish to send all matters on today's agenda?
Absolutely, all matters forthwith on recommendation of Eleanor Levy.
Mr. President, Council has motions for posting and referral.
So ordered.
There are excuses on the desk.
Let's hear them.
Councilmember Buscaino requests to leave at 11:30 on May 4th. Councilmember Huizar requests to leave at 11:15 on May 8th. Councilmember Cardenas requests to be excused on Friday, May 11th. Councilmember Cardenas requests to be excused on Friday, May 18th. Councilmember Cardenas requests to be excused on Friday, Friday, May 25th. And Councilmember Buscaino requests to be excused on June 15th.
So ordered on all requests. Any other items?
Mr. President, the desk is clear.
Okay, members, any announcements? Mr. Rosendahl.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. If you're going to go to the West Side over the weekend, on Saturday especially, and it's a beautiful day in your mind, come on over to Abbott Kinney. You know, it's gotten the reputation as the coolest street in America. Believe it or not, the coolest street. And starting this Saturday at 10 o'clock in the morning, on one aspect of Abbott Kinney, near the school, there'll be 40 different food trucks, and they're going to be participating in with other vendors, an opportunity for us to deal with different kinds of stuff, including the food. So come on by at 10 o'clock in the morning until 5 in the afternoon on Saturday on Abbott Kinney Boulevard and have some fun. Do some shopping, do some eating, drinking, go over to the swap meet and enjoy yourself starting this weekend. Thank you,
Do it
Mr.
all
President.
responsibly.
Thank
Very
you.
good. Thank you, Mr. Rosendahl.
Thank you.
Ms. Perry.
I would like to make the announcement that AEG, the Anschutz Entertainment Group, will be releasing the draft environmental impact report for the Farmers Field and Convention Center modernization project on April the 5th. The public comment begins on April the 5th and will conclude on May 21st, a 45-day period. In order to comply with CEQA, we cannot discuss the draft EIR until the public comment period has concluded, but I did want to make the public aware that this document is being released and shows momentum for the project. I will be working with the committee to set an ad hoc committee stadium date to fully discuss the draft EIR at the end of May. The EIR will be available at cityplanning.lacity.org.
And do you think you could ask Ms. Perry to get one over to the Central Library or somewhere publicly, because not everybody's online? That would be good. Thank you. Mr. Cardenas?
Also, Ms. Perry, if somebody wanted to get a copy of it, they're able to get it, request and get it electronically, I suppose, because I think it's volumes of paper, right?
Yes, it's the HTTP. It's about 10,000 pages, but it's city planning.
10,000 pages?
Yeah, you probably should read it electronically because nobody's going to have enough paper to print this out to be able to read it. So cityplanning.lacity.org.
Okay. Is there a phone number they can call if they want to inquire?
I don't have a phone number. No, they probably call the city, Department of City Planning. I'll put it up on my website. We're trying to drive people to look at it online because it's more efficient than calling.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Thank you.
Mr. Rosendahl.
Thank you, Mr. President. And in responding to Ms. Perry here, two things I want to say. There are a lot of people who have come to me and asked for 90 days rather than 45 days for this comment period. And also, I'm thrilled to hear that AEG is seriously looking at buying a team, if the article in the Times was right yesterday. But, Ms. Perry, is there any opportunity to make it 90 days? A lot of people in the community
Mr. Rosendahl, I think that's not an announcement. You could do it formally through council action next week.
Okay.
Thank you for your fine comment.
The last thing I want to say is I'd like to get the copy of this tomorrow and put it on my Facebook and get it out to the whole world as well.
You can download it and put it on your Facebook. It's electronic.
Thank you very much.
Technical question, Mr. Rosendahl. If we do get a team, what kind of offense should we run?
Oh, golly. All I can tell you is we're going to win our games. We want the NFL to come to Los Angeles, and it's going to happen.
Very good. Thank you very much, Mr. Cardenas.
Mr. President, do we have council on Friday? No, we don't.
In honor of Good Friday and Passover, no council on Friday.
Okay, and also, so we'll reconvene council next Tuesday?
Next Tuesday, yes.
Okay. Same time, same place?
Same time, same place. John Farrell Chambers, 200 North Spring Street, Los Angeles, California, 90112. Mr. Koretz.
I'm just going to suggest that our football team will run a shotgun offense.
Oh, God, very good. That's good. Like Red Sanders, the great UCLA coach. Mr. Weezar.
I'll vote for a spread offense.
Oh, very spread offense. That's very good. I want a West Coast offense. But anyway, members, there's no other announcements. I do want to announce that LACMA has a great exhibit on Mexican art. It's a wonderful place to go, and I encourage everybody to spend the weekends with their family. Come out to LACMA on Wilshire Boulevard, Los Angeles County Museum of Arts, or go hiking in many of our parks in the Santa Monica Mountains, especially Griffith Park. It's very, very naturally green. Good time in the Santa Monica Mountains. Mitch Englander, Councilman, 12th District.
Yes, and I just want to announce that we've launched recently in the newsletter, and we've been doing it for the last few months, emergency preparedness and trying to get everybody to be prepared. And this is a great weekend to take the opportunity to do an inventory at your home, to make sure you're prepared, because it's not a matter, Tom, of when if the big earthquake is going to hit, it's a matter of when, and we all know it's coming. And so we want to make sure that families are well protected. We've got websites and links up on our newsletters as well as our website. We want everybody to make sure that they go to their home, go through their garage, know that you've got flashlights, extra batteries, enough drinking water for everybody in your family, that you're going to have to shelter in place. And so we're putting these emergency tips up every week, and we're putting them out there. We're encouraging other council members, community members, neighborhood councils, and community-based organizations to do the same. And this is, again, a great opportunity to take advantage of that. So thank you.
Mitch, thank you, and for your continued work. The 12th District has always been the seat of preparedness with Mr. Smith and Mr. Burson, who went before you. Now I'd like to call on Mr. Garcetti.
Thank you. This Saturday, we're going to be dedicating in Silver Lake, and Mr. LaBonge, myself, Mr. Rosendahl, others are aware of the Mattachine Society Stairs, one of the first, it was actually the first gay and lesbian organization in the history of this city, the Mattachine Society, that started in Silver Lake and right near some of its residents and in meeting places back in the days in the 40s and the 50s, when simply to say that you were gay was something in which you might risk your life and certainly your career. The Mattachine Society is there. We're trying to uncover that history piece by piece in the Silver Lake area. Also, we want to wish all of our Sikh brothers and sisters a very happy Baisakhi celebration, which is going to happen on the Sunday at the Lake Convention Center. It's the most important day in the new year for our Sikh community, and we wish them very well, and folks are invited to celebrate that together on Sunday from 12:30 on.
Thank you, Mr. Garcetti. Mitch, real quick over here. You're all right? Everybody's okay? Real quick. Here we go.
April, we're actually having a pothole month. And so April, we're asking all residents of the 12th Council District, the Northwest Valley, we've got forms on our website. We want to go out and fix every single pothole throughout the entire district. I'll be the pothole king, I guess. But we're looking at, and I've got the pothole prince right here next to me, Eric Garcetti. And we're asking everybody to fill out the forms to get us those locations. I'm actually going to go out with a crew, and we're going to work on potholes together to go clean up the streets. So we want the community's effort and help to support doing that as well. And then the Bureau of Sanitation is having their open house at the yards. And I know this is always a favorite for the community to come out and meet with our sanitation workers and find out more about what they do. It's going to be on April 28th and another one on May 19th. So that's the Bureau of Sanitation open house at the yards. Bring the kids and the family. Tomorrow night, I will be in uniform working at a restaurant. We have our Tippecop. And so we'll be out at the Tippecop in our district on the border, or a Claim Jumper restaurant in Northridge at the mall. And we'll actually be serving along with other police officers. The sheriffs also get involved, California Highway Patrol. And all of this is to raise money for Special Olympics. And the reserve officers get behind the Special Olympics. So thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mitch. Mr. Zine.
Thank you. Hatzameya. It's Passover starting Friday, so we want to wish all of our Jewish viewers Hatzameya. Also on Saturday, the YMCA Health Kids Day at Woodley Park in Van Nuys, Mr. Cardenas, where I am on the YMCA board. They are going to have 9:30 to 2:30 YMCA Health Kids Day in Woodley Park. Also on Saturday, we have the 5th Annual Safety and Health Fair, 10 to 2, Shadow Ranch Park in West Hills on Van Nuys. People are invited to that. And also on Saturday, April 7th, the 82nd Annual Blessing of the Animals at El Paseo Historical Monument, Alvaro Street. That will take place at 2 p.m., Blessing of the Animals on Saturday, April 7th. And on Sunday, it'll be Easter Sunday, so we wish all of our Christian viewers a very happy Easter. Thank you, Mr. President LaBonge.
Thank you very much, Mr. Parks. We're okay there. All right. Any adjourning? Mr. Weezar. One more announcement. Thank you, Mr. Weezar.
I know we don't have council on Friday, but anyone interested in serving an Easter lunch to some deserving individuals, that's this Friday at the Los Angeles Mission. Also, yes, Blessing of the Animals at Alvaro Street. I was double checking. It is April 7th, Mr. Zine, at annual Blessing at Alvaro Street. Thank you.
Yes, I want to invite everybody who enjoys an Easter egg hunt. Actually, we're calling it a spring egg hunt, so that no matter what faith you believe in, everybody likes a spring egg hunt. There's going to be one at Sylmar Recreational Center from 11:30 to 1:30. I understand there's also going to be egg hunts at Panorama City Rec Center and Pacoima Hubert Humphrey Rec Center, and probably at recreation centers all over the city. And I would encourage you, if you want to take your kids for an Easter egg hunt, to contact your local park to see if they're doing one or where there is one closest to you.
Mr. Alico, thank you very much. And Mr. Weezer, I did just call. You are correct. Being a Salesian graduate, you should have known. You got to have the blessing of animals before Easter, and it is Saturday, just without question. So when you go to confession, you got to do a little extra on that one, Jose. Members, are there any adjourning motions at this time? We have Mr. Parks. We ask you all to rise, including our guest here in chambers, for adjourning motions.
Thank you. I'd like to ask that we adjourn in memory of Curtis Piggy, who was born in 1943, passed away March 29, 2012. After leaving Texas as an infant, he came to Los Angeles. He attended Ritter Elementary School. From Ritter, he went to Jordan High School, then Markham Junior High, then back to Jordan to finish his general education, where he started as a basketball player for the Jordan Bulldogs, where he was the captain of the team. He then attended LA Trade Tech. He worked for Weber's Showcase and Fixtures in Los Angeles, and later went on to work for the state of California for many years, where he retired. He coached basketball at Jordan and Locke High School. He enjoyed attending jazz concerts, traveling, and the game of basketball. From playing to coaching, this was his game. He taught his youngest brother, Mark, who preceded him in death, to be one of the best young basketball players in the Watts area. He is married, has 3 kids. He's survived by a host of family members. His services will be at Citizen of Zion Baptist Church in Compton on Saturday, April 7th at 11 a.m.
Thank you. Any members in addition? Members, I'd like to ask we adjourn in memory of Ashley Sandal, 23-year-old, birthday last Friday. Was at a restaurant in the Silver Lake District. Her father came to pick her up. She celebrated with friends. She crossed Rowena Avenue. The first car stopped, and the second car, legally driving, did not. 23-year-old celebrated her birthday. Her father was there. It was a horrible, tragic accident, and we want to adjourn in her memory, Ashley Sandal. Mr. Clerk, this meeting is now adjourned.